What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Now, you guys know that BioS 3 training, although it started out very, training based and diet and all about fitness and stuff like that, we also understand that like mental health and mental fitness and emotional well-being, all that stuff is part of fitness in general, right? Mental health is part of being well and healthy. And this channel has evolved into vlogs, it's evolved to real life, it's evolved to self-help, it's evolved to things that I never thought it would, because back in the day, basically the only things that I cared about were training and eating. Like, that was it. And as I've grown a little bit older, you guys have kind of grown with me, you've seen me grow, hopefully you've grown too. Your mind changes about a lot of things as you get older and you grow in different directions. Now, that being said, this video is about the difference between a child's brain, the way the child's brain thinks, and the way an adult's brain thinks. And even the adult, as you get older and go through phases in your life and you learn more, wisdom changes the way you think and the way that you see things, and the two different ways that a child and adult see things. Now, the reason why we don't let children vote or drive cars or make decisions financially, or, the things that we don't let children do, right? Play with guns, play with knives, shit like that. Now, actually, I did all that shit when I was a kid, but it was all supervised by actually the knife and shit in the woods, like, whittling. Anyways, doesn't matter. But the bottom line is, what I'm saying is, we don't let kids make decisions that could majorly impact their lives or our lives or anyone else's, because they don't have the ability to make sound decisions, because mentally they're not developed yet. Now, that being said, what is all this stemming from, right? Hopefully you guys are still with me on this and you haven't already clicked off. Now, again, if this is something you're not into, just click off now, okay? So that you guys don't have to waste your time. I don't want to waste your time. That being said, I found this meme. It was actually a thing that led me to a quote by Jaden Smith, who is Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. I don't even know if they're still together. Anyways, it doesn't fucking matter. It's a quote that he put out there, and it says, "There's too many correlations between public schools and prisons. The fact that you have a fixed response to authority, the fact that there's a specific time when you go outside and play, and there's a specific time that you can come back in, and that the way that you're notified with that happening is through the bells. They're subconsciously getting you to a fixed response to authority and understanding what it's gonna be like when you're in prison." Jaden Smith. Now, first of all, sometimes kids are too smart for their own good, right? And it's smart that he can make that correlation, right? Now, I doubt Jaden Smith has ever been to fucking prison, okay? I highly doubt he has ever spent a fucking day in jail. Now, what does happen is, and I'm going to put this out there right now, Jaden Smith is a very privileged young man. He's a very privileged individual, and the way that he thinks is not how the average person would think. But it also allows him to say things like this without fully thinking it through. He can say whatever the fuck he wants, basically, because his mom and dad are famous, he's famous, his sister's famous, and he can just basically say, "I'll do whatever the fuck and say whatever the fuck I want, because it's how I feel, and I'm more important than fucking other people." Like, that's how many of these celebrities act. Now, that being said, I was absolutely fucking appalled that this 19-year-old, now he's 19, which means he is not mentally developed. I remember being 19, okay? And if any of you out there right now have a 19-year-old, you'd know that your 19-year-old compared to a 35 or 40-year-old, brains are different. Now, they're allowed to vote, but they're not allowed to drink yet. Why? Because you can't trust the kids when they're drinking yet at 19. Now, we still drink, right? But at 19, you make very fucking stupid decisions when you're drunk. Well, some of us do. Some of us still make stupid decisions when we're older, but you are more responsible and you learn through wisdom that drinking and driving is not right. Anyways, that's the point I'm trying to make is kids are not mentally developed yet to be adults, period. When does that happen? Sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it takes years into their adulthood before they finally get it. But at 42, I do not think remotely the same. And I don't see things remotely the same than when I was 30. I sure as fuck don't see things the same or look at things the same as when I was 19. And that's the problem. Now, as a 42-year-old, right? Now, he's 19. As a 42-year-old, I see there are too many correlations between public schools and prisons, right? Well, here's the thing. When you go to a public school, you are not mentally developed to make your own decisions. Even sometimes making a decision of what you want to wear to school in the morning, your parents will let you do that because you're doing that wrong too. You fucked that up. So bottom line is, these things, by giving you authority, telling you when to go play, telling you when to come in. Here's the deal. If you let a 10-year-old and say, "Hey, go out to recess, come back in when you want to," that fucker's gone. He's going to leave. He's not even coming back. So you have to tell him to come back in, right? The authority. Oh, they teach you that. Yes, you need authority when you're a fucking kid. Could you imagine, like, letting the kids in the class and have the fucking teacher go, here, learn this, and just sit there? It'd be like that scene in Gremlins when they're all fucking freaking out at the YMCA, hanging off the chandeliers and fucking blowing shit up with firecrackers. It would be a fucking nightmare if you let those kids in a classroom without authority, right? Oh, well, it just keeps them, you know, what else did he say? Let me just go back and reference it. There's a specific time that you can come back in. Well, it's not that you can come back in a specific time. It's like, listen, you've been out there fucking long enough. Come back in. What would you say? That, you know, like, come back in now? It's not a specific time. It's like you're allowing them to go out there because more than likely some adults have decided if we get them out there this period of time, it burns off some of the energy they have. And then we bring them back in, they'll focus more, okay? That's part of what that means. That's all about, right? Then you're notified of all this happening through bells, which is like prison. Now, prison, I've been to jail, not prison. Prison, jail, they have buzzers, okay? Which could be similar to bells, but here's the difference. The bells in school are to get your fucking attention. Much like a dog, when they start to fucking get all amped up, kids are emotional because they're not really cognitive yet, right? They're emotional. They run off emotions. They get picked on, they fucking cry. You know, they're emotional. Therefore, when you're in an emotional state, to get that kid's attention again, you have to do something quick. You can't just say, hey, stop, sit down, stop. Hey, sit down, and they'll fucking, kids will pay attention. Those bells are letting you know, go to where you're supposed to be right now. They're trying to teach you to be responsible adults, right? So that later on, like when you get to college, there's no fucking bells. You're still in school, newsflash, but there's no bells. Why? Because you should have learned to get to your class in a timely time, and get to your class and do what you need to do. You're given more responsibility. You actually graduate as you get older in school to, you know, sometimes, you know, when you're in grade school and elementary, you're not changing classes, right? Because that would be too much stimulus for kids, right? You just have your one class, they teach all the subjects. When you get a little bit older into junior high, now what happens is you're a little more developmentally, so you can actually change classes and calm down. You have classes with different kids, so now you're able to socialize better. Like, school is to fucking teach you as a kid because you don't mentally fucking know what to do. You can't just throw a fucking kid in a school and be like, just run wild. That fucking school would burn down in fucking a day. So I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, this is the way a 19-year-old looks. The way a 19-year-old looks is like, I'm an adult. Don't tell me I'm not an adult. I want to do what I want to do. So he's looking at it as that. Well, they're keeping me in a prison when I was in school. First of all, this fucking kid probably didn't even go to school, right? This motherfucker probably didn't even sit there. He probably was homeschooled on the sets of the fucking TV shows and the movies. So whatever. Anyways, bottom line is, when I looked at it, I was like, here's the deal. When someone goes to prison, and myself, I've been arrested and gone to jail. When someone goes to prison, you are now treated like a kid. You're not treated like an animal. You're not treated like an adult because you have made decisions that show the whole entire society that you do not have the mental capabilities to stay out of trouble and follow these rules that everyone has agreed to follow to keep the fucking world safe or to keep your town safe or your nation safe or whatever. So therefore, if you cannot abide by these rules, you're treated like a child. You're put in prison. You're told when to go to sleep. You're basically being reformed, dropped right back down to the basic level again and tried to be retrained so that when you fucking get out, it gives you a lot of time to think. Because now when you're an adult and you're in prison, you have a lot of time to think. And it's going to go one of two ways. Either you're going to go in the direction of fuck everything, when I get out, I'm going to do it again. Or you're like, this really fucking sucks and I don't want to be here. I'll tell you from my experience being locked up, I did not want to fucking be there. I literally sat there. They took my fucking belt. They took my shoes. They took my fucking, my earrings out of my fucking ears because they were worried I was going to hurt myself with that. They put me in a fucking cell that had like a little tiny mat on the floor, a metal toilet. There was no fucking sink in there, and it was cold as fuck. And they would come by and fucking look every once in a while, see what the fuck is going on. I just had to fucking sit there. It was cold as fuck. It was very strange. It was not a place I wanted to fucking spend time in, right? So the next day when I was arraigned, guess what? I made the decision that I don't want to fucking do that. I don't want to be there. Like, I definitely don't want to be there for fucking 10 years or 15 years or whatever the fuck is going on. So therefore, I'm going to change the way that I'm living my life. So I avoid that. That is the purpose of prison. The purpose of school is to get you adapted to being social, learning other things that you're going to need in real life. Now, I absolutely agree that there are things taught in school that you're not going to use in life. One of the things that I think was the best thing I was taught in high school was how to fill out a check. We had fake checkbooks and we had a balance thing. And we would actually write checks and do the balancing stuff, and the teacher would correct it, and they were teaching us how to write checks. Home ec, computer lit, stuff that I feel like really nowadays helps as adults a lot more. But there's going to be other things that other people need as adults that, you know, I'm not using, like algebra and shit like that. Like, I don't use algebra, but other people will. But the bottom line is to say that, you know, you start off in school so that they prep you for fucking prison. Listen, Jaden Smith, if you wind up in prison, you've made bad fucking decisions. You've done stupid fucking things that you're not supposed to do and probably harmed others, okay? If you think school conditioned you to fucking do that when you were a kid, I got news for you. When these people quit school at 15, 16 years old or whatever it is and they don't finish school and they go out there and they can't get a job or whatever the fuck is going on, they start to make bad decisions, right? Even one of the things you learned at school that I learned was to always finish. Finish what you started. I don't want to be in school anymore. At 16, I wanted to quit. I told my parents I wanted to quit. They were like, no, you're going to fucking finish. And had I quit, I would have been like, you know, it's when things get too hard, you just quit, right? That rolled over into bodybuilding. I kept losing. I kept fucking losing. I kept my head down and boom, boom, fighting. Eventually, I won, right? I mean, pro wrestling, I got fucking dropped on my head. I got beat the fuck up eventually. Like, seeing I'm the interstate champion. You know, like, these are things that, like, you're taught from a young age. So if these schools are teaching kids the wrong way, it's the schools teaching them. It's not the schools prepping kids for prison. You will get out of school whatever that school is trying to fucking teach you. Now, that's on the schools. I know there's a lot of bad schools out there, and I know that they're having a very hard time teaching kids learning. There's so much fucking going on, like the fucking phones and the tablets fuck everything up for teachers and stuff. Now, I get it. It's a hard job. But to say that school is like a prison, I'll tell you what right now, motherfucker. Maybe Jaden Smith, because he didn't go to school, doesn't know this, but guess what? My entire fucking scholastic life, I was excited to go to school every day. Even if I got my balls busted and picked on, all my fucking friends were at school. And I didn't fucking, you know, have two qualms about it. I get to see fucking Henry and Trisha and Brian and Jenny and Lisa every single fucking day, all day long. I had some classes with them. In between classes, I'd meet up with them. I had lunch with them. Fatima, all these people. I had gym classes with them. I got to fucking hang out with, you know, all my friends after school, right after school before we left. We get to go, you know, to, I don't want to say recess, but when you're a kid, you go out to recess and stuff. Like, school was fucking fun. It was absolutely fun. You think that school was like, hey, we're setting you up to go to prison because prison is like school? You think any kid in that fucking school could correlate, this is just like prison? What the fuck? Prison was bad. It was a place you didn't want to go to. School you were excited to go to. So not only do I not agree with what Jaden Smith said, I think he's so far out of touch with the actual reality that because he hears a bell, he thinks of prison. Okay? Because someone tells him, no, you can't stay out at recess for 5 hours. Well, Jaden Smith, Mr. Privilege Man, he don't like to be told what to do, so that's prison. Most fucking kids at recess need to be told to come in and calm the fuck down to finish schoolwork because they're fucking kids. You cannot let them make their own fucking decisions. I mean, if your son gets up in the morning and you tell him, hey, go pick out your clothes, and he wants to dress like fucking Raggedy Ann and Andy or fucking Light Bright, he wants to put on a fucking dress and a wig, I don't give a fuck, like, do it, whatever, but you cannot say, listen, little Johnny, you're 5 years old. What I want you to do is take the car, go to the grocery store, get the groceries for us, then walk the dog. Then I want you to go vote for the president. You can't do that. Why? Because they're not mentally developed. So prison and schools are two fucking different things. I don't think they're even fucking close to the same things. I think that some of these celebrities that are so fucking privileged that don't even have to deal with any of the shit, nor do they have to learn what the other kids learn the way that they learn it and enjoy that experience. School was enjoyable. It was always enjoyable for me. Even when they had the bad times, it was always enjoyable. In prison, I'm willing to bet, I've never been there, but I'm willing to fucking bet, dimes to dollars, is not enjoyable. BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostraining.com is the blog. It's the prison is not school, and school is not prison bicep, and we are out.